apply these AI tools? How do we apply AI? Like almost all of the companies that come through our lab, these startups, have a particular AI tool aimed at a particular task. How do you think through where the opportunities are? You do that by breaking down the workflow. Now, sometimes when you break down that workflow, you lead to something transformative for the organization. So when we break down the workflow and think about predictions that we see in the real world, think about your Amazon recommendations. So you go to Amazon, they make some recommendations, and on what you're going to buy, they tend to recommend a lot of AI stuff, AI books for me, no surprise. And I find that they hit the mark like 1 out of every 20 times. Okay? You might think that's great, you might think that's bad. They have millions of items, 1 out of every 20 times they guess what I'm going to want. That's pretty good. And so Amazon's business model is I go, I shop, they make some suggestions to me, I pick, they send those recommendations to the warehouse, and then they ship it to me. Okay? That's, I shop and then they ship. And that's really the same business model that the Sears catalog had over 100 years ago. Okay? Which is that they made some recommendations to me, they put them in a catalog, I looked at it, I picked some subset of those things in the catalog, and asked them to send it to me, and they mailed it to me. What's changed? Now think about prediction getting better. So think about prediction getting better and better and better and better. And over time, it could, in principle, get to a point where rather than being right 5% of the time, 1 out of 20 times, they're right 95% of the time or 99% of the time. At that point, they might not need to wait for me to shop. They might be confident enough that I'm going to want what they know I'm going to want, what their prediction machine tells them, that they'll ship it directly to my door. And then the business model changes. They ship it to me first, I see what they've shipped to me, and then I shop at my door. I might not, 99% isn't 100%, they still need to have a great infrastructure for dealing with returns. But they've moved from shopping then shipping, which is the same business model in many ways as catalog companies have had for decades, to this totally new business model of sending things to me, and then I have the option of sending back. Okay? So AI can change business strategy. Now, that's not just about Amazon. We can think of all sorts of applications, and you can think about these in your own business. As that prediction technology gets better and better and better, what things where I can't make a decision because of uncertainty that I can now make a decision? And for example, think about the hiring process. We have a very onerous hiring process, right? We post a job, then we take in resumes, and then we screen through them, and then we interview, and then we hire. That's because there's a lot of uncertainty in whether the people we're interested in, are going to want to come, and how those people are going to fit with our organization and our needs. And so we have all these screens in the process to make sure that we can resolve that uncertainty. But if the prediction machine is good enough, as prediction gets better and better and better and better, then that uncertainty could in principle be resolved. We won't have to wait for people to apply and then go through this onerous screening process. We could, as the prediction is good enough, just make an offer to somebody who our prediction says they're a great fit for our organization and they're going to want to come. And that is transformative to the whole way HR operates. Okay. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time at the end now talking about society. Okay? So how does this play out in terms of understanding society? Well, to do that, we need to think through what is it that humans are good at. Okay? So we've talked about data, and we've talked about action. What's the missing piece of decision making? And the missing piece is what we call judgment. Judgment is the ability to know which predictions to make and what to do with the prediction once you have it. So in order to understand the opportunities for an organization in AI in terms of the tools and strategy, but also the implications for society in terms of jobs and inequality, it's fundamental to think through, what are we telling our AIs to do? So judgment is knowing which predictions to make, knowing which decisions are going to be valuable, and then being able to leverage it. So a simple example of judgment is thinking through whether it's going to rain. Okay, so you have, or I should say, simple prediction is thinking through whether it's going to rain. A simple example of judgment is the decision on whether to take an umbrella. Okay, so if it's really likely to rain, you're probably going to take an umbrella, and if it's unlikely to rain, you might not. If you live in Seattle, you might just take an umbrella with you all the time because it rains there all the time. If you live in LA, you might never even think about taking an umbrella because it basically never rains in Los Angeles. Okay? But if you have a prediction machine, if you have better prediction, then you can think through, well, how much do I really care about carrying around an umbrella, and how bad is it to get wet? That's the essence of judgment. Thinking through the payoffs to carrying that umbrella. Oh, you know what? I'm the kind of person who doesn't like to carry an umbrella. Or I'm going to be inside all day. It doesn't really matter if I have an umbrella, so I'm not going to bother even if there's some probability it's going to rain. Or versus, I really don't want to get wet. That's very costly, and so I'm going to avoid that. Now, an umbrella is kind of a pedestrian decision, but that's exactly the same as all sorts of decisions you make in your life, right, and in your organization. It's exactly the same as insurance. Should I buy insurance or not is a statement about resolving uncertainty, and it's a statement about how costly that insurance is versus how big a deal it is that that something is going to go wrong and you're going to have to pay for it. Security is, again, a judgment decision. You can have a prediction in your organization about whether something is going to go wrong, whether you need to protect data, whether you need to protect your systems. That's a prediction problem in terms of how likely it is something's going to go wrong. It's judgment to figure out how big a deal that is and how much you should invest in it. Okay? So a lot of the opportunities for humans are going to be around judgment, knowing what to do with predictions and telling the machines what matters. And so the big questions for society are around, well, if the machines are doing prediction, what's left for humans? Okay. And so question number one that we see all the time is, are there still going to be jobs? And overwhelmingly, the near universal consensus of economists is, at least as long as the technology we're talking about is the one that we have now, AI prediction technology, then absolutely, don't worry about jobs. There are still going to be plenty of things for humans to do. Okay. That said, it's not all rosy. Okay? That's a long-run statement, and the long run can be a very long time. In the short run, people whose jobs involve prediction, they may have something to worry about. So an AI-induced recession is not out of the question. So will there be jobs in the long run? Yes. Could there be pain in the short run? Absolutely. But where the bigger thing is, even in the long run, is just because there's jobs, it doesn't mean they're good jobs. Okay? To the extreme, think about the movie The Matrix. Okay? This isn't really the AI we're talking about today. But all the humans in that movie had jobs, right? They were food, they were energy, but they had jobs, all the humans in the Matrix. They just weren't very good jobs. And so thinking through the opportunities and the excitement of AI for humans, for what kind of jobs there's going to be, matters. So there will be jobs, but are they good jobs, and are they going to increase inequality or decrease inequality? Well, if the future is anything like the past, we should expect an increase in inequality. We should expect those people with high skills to get paid even better, and those people without those skills and without the ability to continue to learn to not do as well. And we should expect the people who own the capital, the people that own the machines, to continue to do better and better. Okay. So yes, there will be jobs. That doesn't mean there won't be short-run pain. It doesn't mean that we won't have issues around inequality. And then the question that we see maybe the most is this the end of the world? Okay, so is this the destruction of humanity. Vladimir Putin said, whichever country owns AI is going to own the world or control the world.